Welcome to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast with your host, wealth coach Wade Reed.
Hey, what's up, Money Masters? It's Wade Reed here for another episode of the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. And today's topic is your financial team. Now, I know many years ago when I was first learning about personal finance, I didn't really have a clue about what my financial team should look like, nor did I really get that there was such a thing as a financial team. But there is. And it's very important that you gather good people to be a part of that team. So let's talk about this. Who are the members of your team? Of course, if you're married, your spouse is the first and most important member of that team. You really want to have a great coordination and an alignment with that person, right? They are a joint partner in the core relationship of life. If it's a significant other, there should be some unification, some openness and dialogue about money. Beyond that, though, you've got kids possibly who are older, who may be participating in some of the big family decisions. And then when you get beyond the family unit, then what, right? I'm a business owner. Many of you are business owners. And if you're not, that's okay. There are still key players that you need to have. So in a previous episode, I talked about a CPA or an enrolled agent or a tax preparer. That I would say is perhaps the number one relationship aside from your spouse or other family members. The tax preparer, the person that you entrust to help you make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed with regard to making sure your tax return is prepared accurately. Because if you miss stuff, that's literally just wasted money. If you overlook a deduction, you literally are just giving away free money to the IRS that's already wasteful as it is. We don't want to do that, right? So the CPA, the tax strategist, you may even have a next level up. If you're a business owner and you have quite a bit going on in your business, you may look at the next level at someone who's a tax attorney. Now, what's the difference between a CPA and a tax attorney? Well, a tax attorney specializes almost exclusively in business-related investment opportunities, tax-benefited investments, and they can get pretty sophisticated and interesting. You're looking for ways to further defer tax into the future on things that you might otherwise not be able to do. You're looking to deploy some surplus cash you don't need for your business operations or your personal life into other things that can have a great value in terms of tax reduction in the future, as well as some investment gains that can occur at the same time. So a tax attorney may come into play. You may need specifically an estate planning attorney. In fact, most people want to have an estate plan put in place, but they don't really know who to turn to, and they don't really know the cost associated with that. And so they often just put it off and put it off and put it off. So far, we have a CPA or tax preparer, tax strategist, a tax attorney, and an estate planning attorney. Well, oftentimes that same attorney who does estate planning also does business entity strategy and planning. So why would that matter, right? You've got an LLC, you can set that up on your own. In the state of Utah, it costs like $22 to set up your LLC. They have a basic templated operating agreement. So what? Let's just do that. Why would it matter if I have a business entity set up by an attorney? Well, this is especially important if you plan to do any sort of tax strategy with that entity. If you're trying to do a partnership situation where you and a spouse are partners so that you can have stronger liability protection, you got to make sure that it's done correctly. An attorney can be of great help to guide you on what that operating agreement needs to look like. An operating agreement is a legal document that defines what the role of that entity is and what it can do, and who the people are who are responsible to make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed within that entity. The annual meeting is done if appropriate, the bookkeeping is completed, the annual filings are completed for that entity, and there's a little bit of stuff that goes on with that. And if you're going to have a side hustle, you got to know this stuff. You got to have people on your team that can support you. Oftentimes that estate planning attorney and business structure or business strategy attorney who does these business entities will also have support people. They may have paralegals that you can get to know and can help fill some of the gap on the basic things that need to get done without having to incur the higher cost of the attorney's time. Within that framework, if you are a business owner, you may want to have an HR or human relations attorney. You may want to have somebody who does specific contracts for you. You may want to have somebody who specializes in the industry things that you do uniquely. Maybe in some states you need to have a real estate attorney to do contracts for you if you happen to be in that business. You may need to have somebody help you with landlord rules, leases, and entering the property. and eviction notices and things of that nature. So there's legal representatives who are part of your team. I would also suggest a very important member of your team is a mentor. These don't necessarily have to be paid mentors, but you have people in your life who you can look up to and go to in times of stress, or maybe you need guidance on some growth that's going on in your life. So a key member, you may have several of these. You may have somebody who's a mentor in your business life. You maybe have somebody who's a mentor in your financial life, maybe a spiritual mentor, maybe a relationship mentor, people that you can develop a strong and deep relationship with who you can truly count on for soundboarding guidance. Not necessarily giving you advice sometimes, but not necessarily the advice, but as much as just somebody to talk to, run ideas through, and help you work through some of those decisions and feel more confident with what you're doing so you can move forward faster. Okay, who else? You may have a financial advisor. Specifically, if you've got a decent amount of cash that you've invested, you may want to have somebody who specializes in the investment world, who has licenses to sell and give advice. Sell investment products and give advice specific to investment-related products. You may back that up with tax support and the legal side. So let me give you a case in point why that would matter. If you are in a position where somebody brings to you an investment opportunity, this came up with one of my other clients, and he called me up and said, "Hey, Wade, I know you've had a lot of experience in the personal finance space. You're my financial mentor and my coach, but I know you've got some personal experience here. Can we go through a meeting with somebody who's offering an investment to me?" And so I sat in a meeting with them. And I said, "Hey, before we do this meeting, make sure you get a copy of what they call their pitch deck, which is a set of slides that typically tell what the offer is and what the basic risks are, who the key team members are on the opportunity, what the direction is of the company, what they think their unique selling proposition is, what makes them different in terms of the competition within the market that they are going to try to become a player within, the minimum investment, the maximum investment allowed, the time frame in which they expect to have a return on that investment, and what some of those risk factors are that may cause the delay in the investment returns or possibly a complete loss." So the pitch deck is more of the sales piece. It gives you more of the hype side of the investment. And then there's something known as a private placement memorandum. I said, "Hey, reach out to the person and see if they have a private placement memorandum set up yet." And that's a document set up through a specific attorney. Now, this is one more layer of attorneys. You may have somebody who specializes in the investment world, an SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission attorney, someone who knows those rules deeply and can help write the legal document required in order to take on investor money for a business venture you may be participating in that you may be offering yourself to other people. So if you're involved in multifamily real estate and you need to raise a bunch of money from, say, anywhere from 5 to a couple of hundred investors, you need to have that specific document, a private placement memorandum. This is typically followed up with what's called a subscription agreement. And that is the business entity document, typically an LLC that is a partnership LLC, and each of the members of that LLC are subscribers to it. And you need to be able to read through that document as well and see what the rules are. So having an investment-specific person who understands these things. Now, I personally don't have the licenses to give advice on what to do to invest or not invest, but I do guide my clients on the principles related to making that sort of decision. But you may want to have somebody who has specific licensing to make specific recommendations for you. If you're super busy in life and you just have a pot of money that's specifically allocated for these higher risk things, like say it's 20% of your overall portfolio that's available for this, and you have an advisor who says, "Hey, I'm looking out for you. I know you've set your criteria for the types of things you're looking for. I found a couple. I think this would be interesting to you. And if you want recommendations," that's the type of person that I'm referring to right now, as an actual investment advisor who knows the true risks of these sort of what are called alternative investments. Now, that person may also have specific skill in the stock market and everything related to that, and may be able to make recommendations and help support you in making trades if you want to be proactive in the stock market. Then there's somebody known as a financial planner. A planner is more of a broad-focused team member. They get the broad spectrum of financial life. I would fit a little bit more in that category of financial planner. because of my knowledge after 20 years of being in this business. I get estate planning, I get tax strategy, I get business entity structuring, I get the liability side of life with all the protection aspects of insurances. I get the value of having a debt reduction plan and cash flow plan and the financial statements and all that comprehensive thing, the retirement income planning and strategies. So I do fit into that, but oftentimes you'll find a financial planner is a fee-based person who gives specific advice. You may come to them and say, hey, I've got this pot of money, I've got this direction I'm headed in life. Could you make some specific recommendations to me regarding this specific thing I'm trying to accomplish? And I'm willing to pay you to go and do the analysis for me and come back with some sort of report that says, hey, this is what I see. This is the ways I could see you accomplishing that objective with the resources that you're offering me to take a look at. I have a colleague in the industry who does that type of planning and mostly works with pre-retirees, 55 plus year olds, who are looking for ways to do the last bit of planning to make sure that the income in retirement is going to be there and highly likely to not have risks of loss associated with it. All right, who else might be on the team? You might have a realtor. If you're involved in real estate in any way, shape, or form, maybe you're just buying personal family residences from time to time, moving from place to place, you might need a realtor. If you want to do any sort of landlording and find properties like duplexes, single family residences, flip a property, having a good realtor who's aware of that market and can bring deals to you before they're even on the market would be amazing, right? So a realtor can be a huge value add to your team. How about a mortgage officer? If you're specifically doing long-term holds on rental properties, you need somebody who knows your financials, kind of keeps them on tap. As you update it on a quarterly basis, you can drop that off to them through email and say, hey, here's my current financials, just so in case I need to get a loan quickly, you've got that handy. And you get to know them personally. They know your unique situation. This has been a big deal for me to have a good mortgage broker because the several times I've acquired mortgages or refinanced mortgages, I'm in a small business industry, and you have to have at least 2 years of tax returns to be able to get a good mortgage, to even be offered a mortgage. So I found somebody who specialized in working with small business owners and kind of self-employed people as my loan officer, and she's done an amazing job being able to get me through that process in a streamlined way without a bunch of time wasted. So guys, as you think about the team that you have around you, think of it like a board of directors. The team that you want to have, think of you sitting at the head of a boardroom table and you've filled the seats on either side of that table with amazing specialists, people that you trust intrinsically. You've gotten to know them. You trust that they have high moral values, that they have similar ethics to you, that they share values with you, but of course can have competing views so that there can be good dialogue that occurs. If you were to actually have them all in a team meeting and looking for guidance on something, that you would have a good, healthy dialogue and be able to come to a conclusion because everyone's willing to coordinate together. That's the ideal scenario. Now, it takes some time to do that. You may not need every single position on that team, but you need to know that that team is very important. And when you have that good team supporting you, you're way more likely to have better outcomes faster. And I also will give a warning. There are times when you might think your CPA and your attorney are getting along when in fact they're not. One may say, hey, I'll reach out to the other person, and they don't actually do that. And one of my mentors said that this occurred for him. He had one recommendation to do his entity. I think the CPA said do an LLC, the attorney said do an S corporation, and in the end, it got filed incorrectly. And when the tax returns were being done, it was filed based on one entity type when in fact it was a different entity type. And because they hadn't coordinated properly, there was like a 2-year scenario where things were messy and it wasted a lot of time. So you are the key person on that team. You getting familiar with this stuff, you reading the books, you listening to the podcast, you having the conversations, you asking the good questions, and you asking about their willingness to coordinate one another and helping be proactive with them. Because I promise you, even though some may say they're willing to be proactive, they're busy people. And unless you are willing to step up and really take control of your personal financial life and make it truly a personal endeavor for you, you will always care more about your finances than anyone else. So we've got to take that personal responsibility, that if something that you've asked for is not being done correctly, that you ask for accountability to that you set up standards with the people that you bring into your team, whether they're team members or commission-based team members, they need to be in coordination with you and in alignment with you. Another team member you need to have are your insurance professionals. The insurance people, a life insurance strategist, a disability insurance strategist. Sometimes those are the same person. Sometimes they're different. On my team, it's different. You may want to have somebody who specializes in property and casualty insurance. That's your homeowners, your auto insurance. If you have rental properties, you'll have what's called fire insurance on your rental properties. You may want to have an umbrella insurance policy on top of that. And then you may also want to have some business-specific insurances. You may have a different insurance broker for business-specific insurances. And then one layer deeper, if you are in a business situation with several $1 million a year coming into your business, you may want to have a specialist in the risk mitigation area, known as a captive insurance specialist, insurance specialist. Now that's a more advanced person to have on your team, but that may make sense. So guys, the team that you have really does matter. And I encourage you to start thinking about who that team is. And if you don't have a place to store that, go grab my Personal Finance Essentials course. It comes with a bonus of my Total Wealth Organizer, which includes a section specifically for who your team is, what you last did with them, how to contact them. It's already built in, guys. I've done this for you. I've done the work. Go grab that and let me know how it's helping you. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Thank you so much for participating in my life, letting me add value to your life. I love you guys for being here. I love you for taking an investment in your future. If you're liking this content, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to it, go to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, do a review for me, share it with your friends and colleagues and family members. This message has to get out to thousands of people, and I need your help with that. So if you're finding any value at all in this podcast, please share it around so that more and more people can get the same value you're getting. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Acceleration Podcast. We hope the insights from today's episode help you streamline your finances and grow your wealth stress-free. For show notes from today's episode and more tips on creating a comprehensive wealth-building plan, visit moneymasterycoaching.com. Remember, financial freedom is attainable. Until next time, keep accelerating towards your goals. See you on the next episode.